we have published what we call the unheard voices of women. Women who are struggling to provide water for themselves. Women provide water for themselves. This business going around, we are providing water for women, is actually, just overstating the case. Women and normally the children support, they provide water for themselves. And water now, sanitation, management, my dear friends, these are increasingly becoming commoditized. In an urban setting, fetching water is an economic activity. I can give you my personal story. As an African girl child born in the village, of course I had to fetch water. If you are an African child, you have to fetch water. It is not child labor. That's not the issue. It is part of your responsibility. Because if you don't fetch water, then you will not be able to survive. So, you will hear people saying in the rural areas, water is free, water is free, so that we don't even have to think about it. But water has never been free. What is free, or what is considered to be free, or of zero value, is the value of the labor of women and the children which they put on the water. Obviously, anything times zero is zero, so it comes of no value. But water is always a very expensive undertaking. So when I was a schoolgirl, because in my village, in western Tanzania, water was very far. So water, the first tap water scheme reached my village when I was in standard 2, I remember, during the colonial period. So the first water scheme was established in my village. It was an automatic water machine. You put in 1 cent, you get 20 liters of water. Now, before the tap came in, I used to run very fast because my father had decided that I can go to school. Not all the girls had that privilege, but my father had decided. Obviously, my mother was supporting, but I have to be honest, it was my father who decided that I could go to school. So the school is 3 kilometers in this direction. This is my village, and the river is in that direction. So you can imagine the drama every morning. In the evening, I come running to the village, take my calabash and go to the river. So this was an activity for 2 years. And this was a reality. But then the tap water comes to the village. Now I come from school, I know there is a tap, but I don't have 1 cent. So how am I going to get the water? Otherwise I have to go to the village. So my father gave me a job. The job was sorting coffee beans. We are smallholder coffee producers. And I was very smart at sorting the beans, so I was earning 2 cents for sorting the beans. And I used to get, so 1 cent I would buy water for my mother. Okay, my mother, here's your 20 liters. And 1 cent I used to buy some sweets. I was a shopkeeper now. So you see, I remember this clearly. And when now finally, this was I know that I will end up here working for the United Nations as I do now. But for me, this has been a very important aspect and knowledge, experience, which I think has come to inform what I'm doing today. This notion of saying water is free is not true. So this tap water, piped water scheme, introduced it in my village, died after independence. Now that's the tragedy. So what happened? After independence, it was declared with the best intentions that no, water is free. There is no need for people to put in 1 cent to get the 20 liters. So the tap was changed. The automatic machine was removed, now it was free tap water. By the grace of God, 2 years down the line, I went to a boarding school, and for an African child, that was a liberation, so my poor mother had taken over herself now. I was going to boarding school, but when I came back on holiday a year later, the scheme was dead. What happened? What had happened is, after removing the automatic machine, water was wasted. People who used it to, there was no drop, I can tell you, when you had put in this 1 cent. But now there was a big galley before the tap. People forgot to close the tap. The scheme became too expensive. By 1963, it was a dead scheme. So my dear friends, it is also not true to say in places like Africa, water has been neglected. Water has not been neglected. What was neglected was the management aspect, the governance aspect of sustaining water schemes. Basically, The notion that a basic service is a free service is wrong. There is no, a basic service is actually an expensive service. The issue is whether the fees are affordable. So if we have a system where even a primary school children, a child like myself, could get 1 cent from my father and buy water and sustain the scheme, so you can see that it's the governance model. And it is little surprise that now within the United Nations, UN Habitat has been, we are coordinating what we call the water operators partnerships within the framework of the UN water. We are putting up management systems that will sustain sanitation and water services in different parts of the world. Those of you who get me, and I'm sure some participants are coming from India, some of the best practices now in sanitation management in the cities like Mumbai, they are being run in countries like India. You can see some of the toilets paying a little bit. So the issue, I would like to submit that the issue is not paying. The issue is whether the fees are affordable. So there is an element of a public-private partnership here, or a public-community partnership. Let people contribute, but what you ask for contribution must be affordable. As I speak now, we are in an absurd situation where, in the sectors like water, which has been dominating our discussion today, poor people living in the slums, they are paying up to 20 times more for water, for a liter of water, than the people who are connected to subsidized municipal supply. So the question of providing these water and sanitation services must always have, if you will, a human face. We should not object to contribution, but it must be affordable, so that becomes a recipe for sustainability. Obviously, if it is not affordable, you will still have to go to the river. If I didn't get 1 cent, the river was always there. Now, that was a rural setting. In the rural setting, there is a chance for self-reliance. But in the urban setting, even that option of going to the river is not there. So what has happened? Women and the children they support are subjected sometimes to engage in risky behavior, including prostitution, to raise money to buy basic services, while the rich are connected to subsidized municipal supplies. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to submit that this is absurd, and that this should not be allowed to continue.